name is Joe Strauss, and I'll be covering what there is to know about William Shakespeare, his 18th sonnet, Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day, and its historical context. William Shakespeare is a world-renowned poet and playwright who has written countless influential poems and 37 plays. Some of his most famous plays are Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet, and Macbeth, just to name a few. His works took the world by storm and have stayed a major part of modern literature because of his focus on major enticing topics: life, love, death, revenge, grief, jealousy, murder, magic, and mystery. Along with all these well-known plays were the poems and sonnets. He has a series of sonnets covering a variety of themes. When referring to Shakespeare's sonnets, people usually mean the 154 sonnets that are published in one go as a quarto in 1609. However, there were also 6 additional sonnets written throughout his plays. A quarto is a book or pamphlet that is typically printed with 8 pages of text on either side of 4 leaflets, but it is not restricted to only that number of pages. If you can imagine the 154 sonnets, it would be well over 8 pages.
These 154 sonnets that Shakespeare wrote were written as a continuation of the sonnet tradition that continued through the Renaissance in the 14th century, only brought over to England by the poet Thomas Wyatt in the 16th century. Shakespeare's sonnets are almost all constructed of 3 4-line stanzas, followed by a final couplet. The sonnets are composed in iambic pentameter, the meter used in Shakespeare's play that gave it the sense of rhythm. These sonnets are written for 3 main figures: the fair youth, the rival poet, and the dark lady. Sonnet 18 specifically was addressed to the fair youth. The fair youth had the most sonnets dedicated, with a total of 126 out of the 154. Although no one knows if there was an exact figure that fit all the descriptions, we do know that he was handsome, self-centered, universally admired, and very much sought after. Before Sonnet 18, Sonnets 1 through 17 were asking the fair youth to go and get married and have children. The sonnets are written in loving admiration for the fair youth. Now for William Shakespeare's Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day, the Sonnet 18 for the fair youth. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's leaves shall all too short a day. Sometimes too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dim, and every fair from fair sometimes declines. A chance for nature's changing course untrimmed, but thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou oust, nor shall death brag thou want'st in his shade. When in eternal lines to time thou grow'st, so long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this life gives to thee. As you may be able to tell, there is a strong feeling of romantic admiration for this youth. The opening line poses the question whether or not he should compare him to a summer's day. The rhetorical question is answered in the following 11 lines. Now listen carefully as we break down each individual line and gain a better understanding of the deep themes portrayed by this sonnet. Line 1. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? A question that is straightforward in its meaning. A summer's day is always referred to as the most beautiful and admirable time of year, one that everyone yearns for. Line 2. Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Shakespeare believes his love for the fair youth to have more temper and energy than that of a summer's day. This is a pretty strong comparison considering summers are more temperate than any other season. Line 3. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May. This quite literally means the strong winds of summer shake the flowering buds off the trees. Line 4. And summer's lease hath all too short a day, meaning summers go by too swiftly. Line 5. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines. On some summer days, it gets too hot. Line 6. And often is his gold complexion dimmed. Some summer days are filled with clouds. Line 7. And every fair from fair sometimes declines, meaning nothing lasts forever in nature. It's just the way that things are. Line 8. By chance, or nature's changing course untrimmed. happenings are by accident, while others are just a part of nature's cycle. Line 9. But thy eternal summer shall not fade. Although things must move on by nature, Shakespeare's love for the fair youth will not fade, nor his vexing summer-like qualities. Line 10. Nor lose possession of that fair thou oust, meaning his beauty will never be lesser than it already is right now. Line 11. Nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade. The youth will never look like he is close to death. Line 12. When in eternal lines to time thou growest. Even as Shakespeare writes these lines, line 13, so long as men can breathe or eyes can see, as long as there are people on earth, line 14, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee, meaning the fair youth's life lives on in this sonnet. There have been multiple deeper interpretations of this sonnet, which is a quality that makes it so famous as well. People look at the poem and can find things they apply to their own romantic encounters. One very popular interpretation is that the main theme of this poem is that love transcends nature and is actually more powerful than nature. You can definitely see this in a couple lines, especially in line 2, where it says, "Thou art more lovely and more temperate," referring to his love being more than the most beautiful time of the year. Another popular interpretation is that the sonnet is about a lover who passed on, and as a final message to his past loved one, he immortalizes them with the power of literature, as you see in the last couplet. So long as men can breathe, or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee. Sonnet 18 is the first sonnet that doesn't mention the fair youth having children. This may have come from the realization that he doesn't need children in order for his beauty to be passed on through time. The sonnet is written in an evenly tempered and not overcome by passion, so that gives it a melancholy feeling of timelessness. We must remember the significance of strong emotions such as love and the power it has to transcend natural forces through various means, as Shakespeare's 18th sonnet did through literature, and the now timeless everlasting poem, "Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day?"